What's up, everyone? I am excited that you
Hey,
guys decided to join us. We are got some great information coming, and we are. This is actually our first time trying out a lot of things, so you can only imagine how how technology is only good if we definitely got some of that today. But we got some great information for you guys today, and I'm excited for you guys joining us. Please, if you are if this is your first time here at the ladder, I will tell you a little bit about what the ladder is about. But while this information is going forward, I definitely would love if you share this information to your friends, your family, while we're on live. And if you feel like this is something that can help somebody else, please give that information to them because we want to get the word out. We definitely want this video to continue expanding throughout everywhere. But we thank you so much for being a part of us right now. And let us know where you're from. Interact with us. Let us know where everybody is coming from. Let us know if you're in the Dallas area. I know we have a couple of people watching in California. So let us know where you're from and interact with us. We will have a chance for you to ask questions while everything is going on. So if you get an opportunity to, just interact with us and ask questions, or if there's anything that you want to know more about any particular subject in finance, comment below so we can definitely follow up with you. No more from me. I want to pray so we can get us all started. I have everybody backstage getting ready to pop in with everyone. So we're going to pray. We're going to get started, and I'm going to introduce you to the guest that we have that is going to be sharing some knowledge with us today. Father God, I thank you for this day, God. I thank you for just another opportunity for us to come together. God, I thank you that you have given us the ability to just shed light on certain situations. I don't believe that you have led us to lead with blindfolders over our eyes, God, but you have given us the ability to connect with people so that we may understand a little bit more about ourselves and what you are doing to try to establish your kingdom, God. I thank you that you have given us grace over the subject of finance. And I thank you because we are using the abilities that we have learned, whether it was through school, through education, or through our personal experiences. You have given us the ability to understand how to move forward with the knowledge that we have. And the knowledge that we have, we want to benefit your kingdom more, to grow what has already been established in heaven on earth. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
amen.
All right, so we got a couple of people online. I'm going to bring, first of all, I'm going to bring Dr. Thompson up. Dr. Thompson up. All right, here we go. We got Sean up. What's up, Sean? How's everything going with you?
What's going on, brother?
I can't hear you, my brother. Can you unmute your phone? See if it's working. Perfect.
Now, got me.
Yeah, got you.
Perfect.
Yeah, we're gonna start with you. We're gonna let Dr. Thompson chill a little bit. We're gonna start with you. It was hard getting on this morning, wasn't it?
Hey man, you know what? Perseverance is the key. It was a little hard getting on, but we were determined. So we're unstoppable, man.
It was almost too late, man. We was like right in the middle of it, and then just God just let you in.
Here's what you did, brother, and God hears prayers. You said we're gonna ask God for this last minute grace. And we tried it one more time after at least 15 times. And God said, I heard your prayer.
Amen. Yeah, so, man, I'm excited about you getting a chance to join us. We're in this quarantine hour. What have you been doing to bypass your time?
Man, look, first of all, we've been trying to stay sheltered in place, remain healthy. It's extending the reach to our extended family, ensuring and praying for them. We have my wife and I. We have, of course, aging mothers, and our attention's on them because they're not close to us, so they're isolated, but they're being checked in on locally. So we've tried to take full advantage of it, man. Remain healthy, mentally, physically, emotionally, as well as spiritually. So we're going to talk about all that, but it's been an interesting and unprecedented time, no doubt about it.
Well, that's good. Sean, you did one of our events, I believe it was probably about 7 months ago. It hasn't quite been a year yet, and we were basically talking about the 4 pillars of wealth. And we was talking about a lot of things, and I'm pretty sure you're going to shine some light on that today. But for the new people who really don't know, what kind of like why is finance one of your means subject that you just really want to push forward in the community? Why finance?
Well, my background is in finance. I have an undergraduate in finance as well as a master's degree. I've been in the financial industry for 21 years. Our friend that you have on here is a huge part of my journey. I always tell people at one point I was broken. I was battling bills, bad credit, and borderline bankruptcy. And God just put me in the presence of good, strong people, one of them being Dr. Thompson. And I knew, just entering into my marriage, I wanted to have some success, but was not doing the things that I was supposed to do to produce success. So Dr. Thompson and others modeled what a true mentor, a true man of God was. I understood the financial stewardship, the importance of this. And then I really started taking my career, my life, and finances serious, because I believe that we all can do what I call create a wealth shift, not just for us, but for our families, for generational wealth, as well as for the kingdom. So I've been on a mission for the last 20 plus years I'm an investment advisor. I have all my financial certifications, but really I always say, look, I'm a servant of God first, and I'm here to help and serve and try to prevent people from what I went through when I was literally in debt and despair. So I have a passion for it. I like to do this. I like to teach people how to make a difference and a dollar at the same time.
Wow, that's powerful. I love that. And so thank you for that. Thank you for joining us. I'm going to bring Dr. Thompson in. We're going to share some light with him. Dr. Thompson, how you doing, brother?
Well, good morning, AJ and family out there. How's everybody doing? I'm great. Thank you.
Hey, we're doing real good. Thank you for joining us today.
Oh, it's my pleasure. I look forward to it. And when we talked about this a couple of weeks ago, seeing it come to fruition, it's exciting. Absolutely. And have my brother on there, Sean, man, strong brother right there, man. All you needed was him. I mean, I could have just sat back and listened,
He speaks real highly of you.
Well, I speak highly of him.
What was significant about it is that he was one of the things in his PowerPoint presentation was his mentors, and one of the things that he had said was that he highlighted the importance of having mentors in his life. And so I say, well, you know what better way to do to have his mentor online, and I just get to share some light with who I feel my mentors are. So, I mean, it's good to have you guys both, just online, just to kind of dip into some of the conversations that you had, that you two have that nobody ever probably, listened to.
Yeah, I would just say this. I mean, Sean's being modest, man. That brother's my mentor as well. We've fed off each other, and it's like from the time we met, there was a chemistry there, bond and a love for each other, and doing things with God in the middle. So.
Yeah, that's good. And so now, can you tell us a little bit about your journey when it comes to finance and when it comes to business finance and kind of what you do on a daily basis? Because for those of you that don't know Dr. Thompson, it's hard to book him.
Well, I do a lot of different things. Obviously, I teach at a college. Mm-hmm. And the other thing is business consulting. Mm-hmm. So I go and talk to various business executives. I do executive coaching. Mm-hmm. I also do facilitation of workshops associated with selling, high-level sales. Mm-hmm. And I've started a few businesses in my lifetime that I'm proud of. But in terms of just day-to-day financing, I'm at that age now that Sean is the man on that. I am more of watching my investments, whatever I've done before is protecting, holding, and growing those than I was 15, 20 years ago.
Man, I'm glad you said watching your investments. So you just basically got your hands back. You sit down and you just watching your money go up, right?
You get to a point where, you would have considered me pretty high risk. you know, back in the day in terms of being in high growth funds. And Sean can attest to that. But now, not so much. So it depends on where you are in life, I think, and what you're trying to do and achieve, determining what you want to do and what your investment portfolio look like.
I'm glad you said that, because we're going to be shining some light on that today. But I do want to highlight also that you are not only good in finance, but you are also a pastor as well.
Well, thank you for that. Yeah, we started a little church, I think, a couple of years ago now. Seems like that. Almost two. It'll be 2 in August. And what we've done is we try to separate ourselves because church really has a bad reputation in a lot of people's mind. Probably mine as well, mostly. And it has such a bad name in terms of building these big buildings and doing these things with workshops and seminars. And it's not that those things are bad, but when they become the focus and we lose the focus of our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, then I think it becomes problematic to us. If we're leading the world in knowing Christ, then it's problematic to us. So that's why we started Connect, and God willing, He'll bless that, and we'll see where it goes.
That sounds good. So that's good. Well, I'm ready to get started. We're going to have a couple of how I have it broken out is that we're going to just let you guys share about 15 minutes of, where you see the economy, how you view it and everything like that. I definitely want you guys to just share some light on kind of how you have positioned yourself for times like this. And then after that, we're going to ask a few questions. Right now, the first person we have up is my brother Sean. Sean, you're going to help us out on a few things. So you let us know whatever you need, and everything's on you, my brother.
All right. Well, let me do this. Let me try to share my screen, and you tell me if you see what you need to see there. AJ, I'm going to share my screen now. I think it's not allowing me to share because I want to be able to share a presentation and really talk through some of the things I want to talk through. And AJ is not allowing me to share, but let me make sure I'm doing it correctly. Application window. I don't want to share my entire screen. So let's see here. Do you have access to that, AJ, to share the screen? Did I lose you, AJ?
Oh, no, I'm right here. Yeah, I'm right here.
I tried to share the screen, but it's not allowing me. So
okay, how about this? We'll have Dr. Thompson go up, and then we'll work with yours. That sounds good, Dr. Thompson.
You bet it does.
All right, I think we got you ready to go, don't
we? We do. Just pull me up there, and I'm ready to go.
All right. Well, here you go, Dr. Thompson, and then you can share your presentation right there.
Okay, can you see me okay? Okay, so I want to talk about first, Sean's going to get into the financial aspect. I want to really go over what is business ownership and entrepreneurship. And how does those two things work together? The whole emphasis is how do we make the mark and then hit it? Make the mark means that I'm just not going after anybody else's mark. I'm going to set the mark for myself, set it in such a way that is strategic, and then do the things necessary to hit that. I want to first talk about some ingredients in a successful business. So those of you, us, who are thinking about starting a business, what are some of the things we need to look at, and what's the financial implication of those? The first thing I would say is that we're going to start with God. Everything, and if you're around me for any minute of time, you know that things begin and end with God. Even those of us who don't put God first, hey, He's going to end it at some point, whether it's what we're doing or ourselves. So we may as well include Him initially. I know one of Sean's favorite verses, as well as mine, is Deuteronomy 8. If you hadn't read that, I would encourage you to do that. Because oftentimes what we think about is when we're out here and we're doing all of these things and we're making things happen, we forget about what God said. God said that he gave us the ability to make wealth. And he don't want us to forget that. So he wants to be involved in everything else. So the first ingredient we have is God. The second thing I would say is knowing ourselves. That's before you get into any type of financial planning, before you're looking at starting a business. How do you know yourself? And you might say, well, that's interesting why we would want to look at that. Well, not really, because generally we're made up of 4 different types. And one of the things that we found in social science is this, is that our strengths can also be our weaknesses. So for an example, I just want to run through quickly. I'm not going to bore you with a lot of this, but there are individuals that are more driver and dominant type of personalities. Drivers mean they want to get things done. Well, that's the advantage. They can get things done. The disadvantage is that they leave a lot of room for error. So they're not as detailed as they want. Then there's the expressive people, the talker people that like big picture concepts, but they're not very much in terms of doing it. Then you have thinker types of people that are fact-based. They're good planners, but they don't drive to get things done. And then there's the guardian type that are steady and they're about trust and building the trust in people. Well, it's very rare that you have a person with all 4 of those. And when they do have them, they're not using them situationally. So by knowing yourself, for an example, I'm a driver and I can get things done. But what that means is that it might be a little shoddy. In other words, there might be gaps. So knowing these things about myself, both in a stable state and under pressure, how I react, help me to know when I'm forming my business or getting ready to initiate my business, the types of things I need to be aware of just in me. So God first, knowing ourselves. Then this is a big one, to have a plan. And I didn't say develop a plan because that's going to be assumed that I'm going to develop it. I want to have a plan and I want to have a business plan. A business plan that is desirable to be presented to a bank, so to speak. Even if you don't need the money, I need to have this plan. Why? Because it helps us to really look at what it is that we're trying to do, how we're going to do it, how we're going to get resources. It just helps us to walk through that process. And then we want to execute, being able to execute that plan. So it has to be actionable with timelines on it. Having a plan, a great plan on a piece of paper is trash. It could be okay on the paper and it looks good, but if we don't execute it, it's just like in any type of sporting event. Execution is key. Then the other thing we want to do is go to a proof of concept. I have this business idea. I have a plan. Before I do anything with it, when possible, I want to do a proof of concept, which is nothing more than let me take this idea and limit it and put it out there on a trial basis. When I am planning my business and my new idea to go forward, and I bounce it off people around me, people are easy to say, yeah, Larry, that's a great idea. It looks good. It's going to work. I like it. But they're not invested in it like I do. And sometimes they're just telling you this to encourage us. So if I have a business and, you know, I'm going to start this thing and it's a $300,000 business investment, I would want to take maybe 10% of that and do a proof of concept, a trial on it, because that trial helps me determine what areas I need to reinvent, work, or if it's going to be successful or not. The second thing I need to have is a capital and operating expense. The rule of thumb is that you want about a year of that. Now, small business loans are good, but if you can have that without that, which means I don't have to worry about my building costs, my equipment costs, my payroll for a whole year. Can you imagine taking that kind of weight off of you when launching a business, what that means? It's huge. Then timing is everything. I might have a great idea and a concept, but if the timing is not right, then it's not going to work for me. And sometimes we become unrealistic and really looking at that window of time. So we need to bounce it off of others. Another area is risk assessment. Risk assessment is, what if I go into this thing and I have problems, unforeseen problems? What am I going to do? A virus hits. What am I going to do? Or what if I go in and it's a great product and I can't keep up with demand? In any event, I need to assess all of the things that could go wrong to the best of my ability. I went and looked up, here's some of the reasons why startup businesses fail. When we look at it, is a lack of capital. We talked about that up front. You don't want to go into any type of entrepreneurial investment without a good capital investment setting aside in operating expenses, because that takes a lot of pressure on. We do a lot of foolish things if we're trying to chase dollars versus trying to grow our business. Inadequate management is another area. I mean, a lot of people are process individuals, are individualistic, and then when it comes to managing, processing people, they might need some help with. And there's the other one, inactive business planning, and I would add to that execution of that plan. And then finally, marketing mishaps. Oftentimes we have these great ideas about starting a business, which is good, but we don't think about, hey, I understand this business, people around me understand it, but how will I get this out to the masses? Well, it's going to take some marketing ideas. And then lastly, how do I develop growth skills in all areas of me and my business? How do I grow and develop based upon that? So let's talk about some of those. I'm a leadership person. When we do stats, there's probably only about 5 to 7% of people that are true leaders. Even though you have people out there calling themselves leaders, they're just not leaders. When we say a leader, if it's defined as a process by which an individual can influence others toward a common goal, it's just not that many out there. Leadership is not a boss telling you what to do. I want to encourage you, if you haven't seen the video, Miles Monroe on how to become a leader, it's about 33 minutes. I would ask, it would be a great investment of your time. Leadership is huge. I think it's one of the things that's sorely missing from us in business, in churches, in all aspects of life. So the more that we can grab that, and leaders also listen. The other thing we want to be able to do is knowledge. We have to be willing to learn. We have to be a constant learner. If this is my business, obviously I'm invested in it, but it doesn't mean that I can't learn. And then decision makers, depending upon my personality makeup, I think I showed you one earlier where I might be a thinker. Well, a thinker is almost a perfectionist. So getting things done right is good. At the same time, I have to make a decision to move on to do something different or more creative. And then there's just discernment. It's a God-given ability, but we can be certainly introspective as we go through this in terms of what's working and not working for us. Here's another one, to develop some success factors. So I'm starting this business, entrepreneurship. I need to know up front, before I launch anything, what does success look like for me for year one, for year 2, year 3, so on and so forth. I need to set that determination now. Otherwise, I don't know if I'm being successful. Starting a business take being a risk taker. And it's not just taking risk at a whim, but taking calculated risk, where you know the odds are somewhat in your favor. Another one is operating in integrity. Business ownership, entrepreneurship strives and deals with integrity, and it's nothing more than just being honest. And you need to surround yourself with great talent. Surround yourself with smart people. I'm okay with people being smarter than me. Most of them are anyway. So, but surrounding them, take advantage of their know-how, help them to do those things that they want to do. Because the last thing we need are people that are not concerned about your and my business. So what do we do in this world? There are a lot of opportunities that are going to happen as a result of the coronavirus. There are going to be businesses that fail, but you know what? There are going to be a whole lot of new businesses that spring up. I would say this, anyone that's looking at starting a business, entrepreneurial, start out by having a plan, have your capital investment, have your growth skills in mind so that you will set yourself up for success. So that's my little 15 minutes. So any questions, I'll just sort of open it up. Or if you want to, AJ, save those for the end, or however you want to intermingle those. But that's my piece right there.
Thank you so much, Dr. Thompson, man. That's some good information right there. We do have a question. This one is from William Bermudez. He said, any thoughts on seed funding for initial capital? Is it safer than a small business loan?
Well, you have a lot of people that do seed money, startup investments. So it depends, I would say, on which way you want to go. I think for me personally, I think small business is a lot safer because you know exactly what you're doing. You're dealing with the government. Mm-hmm. You know what your return's going to be. A lot of seed money you can get quicker, but they want a bigger part of your business as well. Mm-hmm. And they might rush you for the return on that investment. So you have to weigh the two. They both have their advantages and disadvantages. You just have to weigh them and see what's right for your business.
I like that. So when you have, how much should we be willing, like when people want to like seed fund into our business, you know, I know we want to maximize on as much, you know, ownership of the business, but I'm thinking of Shark Tank in my mind, you know, how they're asking for like 15%, 20%. How much should we be willing to give up our business for somebody who's wanting to invest in it?
Well, it depends. So to me, how long do you want to own that business? Mm-hmm. I mean, if you only want to own that business for 10 years, maybe you would raise the percentage. But you have to remember that anybody that's coming in, investing in your company, they want a couple of things quick. Mm-hmm. Number one, they want a return on that investment as quick as they can get it. Mm-hmm. And number two, they want to ensure that you're going to be successful, or it's easy for them to capture all of your business. Mm-hmm. So I would say it depends on what you want to do. For me, all of the businesses that I've started, I like maintaining control of what I want to do. And a lot of times these monies with seed, once you get over 20, 25%, they want to have a lot of say in how you do business, which could change your business model. Mm-hmm. Could change it for the better. But if you got this strategy in mind, you need to know that it could be altered depending on what that investor sees and how much they want to invest in you. But I would say the short answer is that it depends on what you want to do with your business.
That's some good stuff. Now, I want you to speak to how important it is for us to have like a business around this time, you know, because a lot of people are losing, you know, their job, and it's like their initial source of income. And it's like there's really nothing else. So how do you speak to entrepreneurship for the people that they have a vision, they feel like they are a leader, and they're just waiting to make that next steps? What do you say to individuals like that?
Absolutely. Great question. One of my favorite people is Bobby Kennedy. And Bobby Kennedy said this. He says, one person's problem is an opportunity for another. Mm. So you're going to see a lot of people, and unfortunately, a lot of business not going to make it through this. Mm-hmm. But you know what? There's going to be a lot of new businesses that spring up. Mm-hmm. So a true entrepreneur just looks for opportunities. This is an opportunity season. Mm-hmm. It's going to be an opportunity for, I think, me personally, for people that want to invest in the stock market. It's going to be opportunities for people to start new businesses. Just think about what this is going to cause now. I know there are some people that says heretofore, just in the manufacturing of plastic gloves, mm-hmm. or breathing apparatuses, companies are popping up all over because they can't keep up with it. And maybe you say, I want to do this for short term. I want to do this for about a year, and it'll be saturated, and I'll move on. Or maybe somebody buy you out. My point is that we have to look for opportunities versus saying, woe is me, or woe is the time. Mm-hmm. We look for opportunities. We seize those opportunities. This is really key, have our capital investment ready to go. Mm-hmm. And when you see that opportunity, jump in. Another thing that you can do as well, this is kind of risky, is to partner with someone. Mm-hmm. In terms of like-minded about the idea and the concept. Mm-hmm. You can pool resources together to do things that one person cannot do. The other thing to do is to get it. I mean, if we're not into business already or entrepreneurship, pick a company, go and volunteer with the person, particularly if you can get to the owner type, and just watch and learn from that person. And then you're ready to go off. But I would say, man, I think the fields are going to be green. It's a great time, I think, for America. And one of the things, like it or not, being able to start a business in America is still relatively easy.
Yeah. Wow.
And the rewards of it. I mean, I was listening to Steve Jobs, an old Steve Jobs tape today. And one of the things he did, I mean, he started in his parents' garage, a dropout out of college, right? And there's a lot of tales like that. We just have to be committed. We have to be willing to execute, and we have to be able to raise money.
Right.
You can't go into it with just an idea.
Right.
Great idea on a piece of paper, unexecuted is trash.
Wow. Yeah.
So how do we make that trash really reality? How do we give it feet? How do we give it life?
Right.
That's really what we're talking about.
So what do you say, and we got a few more minutes before Sean comes on, but what do you say to a business, or what do you say to the entrepreneurs right now that are struggling and they really don't have the capital, or they really don't have the means? What are some steps they can kind of like look to? What are some metrics to look to kind of downsize what they were operating at to like sustain themselves through this time?
Well, yeah, the first thing I'll start with, if you're small companies, I mean, there are small business loans that's going to be available that will turn into grants. We have to investigate that, because in some cases they could be up to $50,000, $100,000 during this period of time, and they're going to be forgivable. So I would really check into that. That's big. I already have. I've already applied. So that's one thing. The other thing too is you can't never operate from a position of fear or playing the what if game. We have to be strategic in our planning as entrepreneurs, particularly at this time. So if you look at it and say, where is this taking me? Where can this take me? Whatever business that I'm in, I mean, let's just say I own a restaurant and I've been shut down. So the question is, where can this take me? Well, maybe it can take me to planning food menus and delivering it to people long term after this is over. I can come up with complete meals. But the thing that I can't do, I can't stay stuck in the woe is me mentality. I have to get out of that. I have to spread. And if it means that I have to cut back on some things to reposition, you know what, AJ, that's just a part of business. I remember, if you got time for one quick story, I remember going into, I was a reseller of office products. And we came into this deal where it was 9/11, right? And things just went all haywire. Well, it was very easy to say, woe is me, and how am I going to move these products? But that allowed us to get into document storage, scanning. So we have to look and see what's on the horizon that will fit into my business. Or it might be, I sell this and move on. I take my loss and I move on to something else. But all of that is a decision making that leaders have to do.
I like that.
Steve, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I have one more question for you. This one is from Natalie. She says, if I have a full-time job, how much should we set aside or devote to starting a new business?
Okay, so if I have a full-time job, how much should I set aside to start a business? So it depends. So I would say, and a lot of this is dependent. So if I've done my business strategy, and let's just say that I looked at my capital investment and my operating investments, And for a whole year, I would need $200,000, so to speak, to be able to say, I can get my building, hire my people, and do this for a whole year and not have to worry about it. Well, I have to back into that. First thing is, how much can I afford to do this? And Sean's going to talk to you about individual saving, personal saving. So now I'm just adding another savings component to it, and that is my company's investment. And one of the other things I talked about earlier too is timing. Timing is so important. So that's the other thing that's going to drive this window of opportunity that Natalie sees. What is the window like? Is this something that's a wide open window, or is it very narrow? If it's a narrow window and I don't have the money, it might be best if I go and borrow the money. If it's a wider window, then I can save up over 2 years or 18 months and I can get to my 200,000. Then that is much better to do. So it depends on what I'm trying to do, how am I trying to do it, and what's the time frame in which I'm working.
That's some good information, Dr. Thompson. I want to thank you so much.
Oh, my pleasure.
Yeah, some light right there. Stay right there.
Okay.
I have some more questions for you in a little bit when we conclude. But I want to go ahead and bring Sean up. Looks like we got you working right now, Sean. I think your mic is mute.
You're right. You're right. I forgot to unmute myself. Can you hear me now?
Yes, sir. We can hear you. So that was some good information that Dr. Thompson gave us, primarily when it comes to starting businesses and things of that nature, which is really good for the entrepreneurs that are out there that are trying to, stay afloat of what is happening right now. I know sales has dropped down. And so this is a good conversation to kind of go into investing into businesses, personal finances, things of that nature. So I definitely want you to share some light on that. We already have some mutual fund questions and things of that nature. So I'm gonna let you have it. Sounds good?
That'll work. Go ahead and share my screen, and I'll be more than happy to jump into it. So let me just, before I get started, I don't like following my mentor because he is a hard. I want to add something just to show you the importance of mentorship. And again, I can sit here and talk the next 3 days about how Dr. Thompson and the importance of him in my life. But when I first met him back in the 90s, late 90s, I went to work for him. Now, he didn't pay much. I'll just say that up front. But he gave me millions of dollars worth of information and direction that I'm forever grateful for. But literally, if you want to see how a man of God takes a business, has multiple employees, and flourishes, Dr. Thompson is the guy, and he does more than that. So I just wanted to, again, thank him for allowing me to follow him, which is going to be tough. But let's talk about, how do you defend against the downturn? Because there is no doubt about it. We are in a downturn, and I don't have to certainly prove that to you. You know it, because we're dealing with this thing called COVID-19. Over 500,000 people, unfortunately, has been affected. I pray that none of your family, friends, co-workers have, but if so, we'll certainly keep them lifted up in our prayers. Over 18,000 deaths. So we know this has certainly affected us. Our country is sick, but it's also now become economically sick because of all that. We've closed as a society. And by the way, I think we've done the right thing. We chose humanity and health over capitalism. It's the right thing to do. But when we do that, and we contract and we close economies, we see things that Dr. Thompson was talking about. Businesses basically going out of business. People, unfortunately, not able to work. And when you start seeing that happen, you start seeing the economy contract. And oh, by the way, things like the stock market contracts. February 12th we were at our all-time high. And then not even 3 to 4 weeks later, we hit the fastest market correction in history. Over 35% down. So from almost 29,000 to 18,000 in a matter of 3.5 weeks. And a lot of people had their hands on their head like you see in front of you. And unfortunately, it's cost a lot of people a lot of money, even if it's on paper. So people are asking, what am I to do? Because not only are they seeing their retirement accounts or their investment accounts go down, they're seeing their jobs go away. Guys, if you've seen the numbers, it's staggering. 17 million people in the last 3.5 weeks have filed for unemployment. 17 million. Now, just to put that in contrast, from 2008, when the last recession happened, the market downturn in the housing, till now, we've actually seen 20 million jobs in growth. And over the last 3 weeks, we've seen 17 million people file for unemployment. And oh, by the way, that number's only going to continue to grow. So what does that mean? It means that unfortunately, we are heading and probably already in a recession. Now, I don't bring all this information to create fear. I don't bring all this information to obviously create bring anything that you already don't know. I'm really bringing this information to you to talk about how do we defend against the unknown? Because we don't know when we're going to get over this curve. We don't know when we're going to get past this invisible enemy. But we do know is that we have the ability in front of us to prepare and defend against it. So how do we do it? Well, let's talk about, first of all, how what I consider you have the 4 pillars of wealth. And as AJ mentioned, I think I talked to the group maybe 6-7 months ago, and I was really high level on this, and just for my time's sake, I'm going to be very high level again. But I believe there's 4 pillars to wealth, and the first pillar is you first of all have to know how to make the money. So if you don't make the money, then you're out of the game. But a lot of people, that's not the issue, especially when the market is relatively healthy and the economy is strong. We all know how to make money. But do we know the other 4 pillars? I mean, other 3 pillars, because now you have to understand how to multiply money. You know, everything that God gives us, he expects an increase on, regardless if it's our lives, our relationships, our stewardship over our health, our finances. You know, Jesus cursed the fig tree because it didn't produce anything. So that shows you the importance of how God expects us to increase what he gives us. And obviously our financial stewardship is one a part of that as well. But then once we understand how to multiply the money, we need to understand know how to maintain the money. Here's what a lot of people do. They get money, they even know how to increase it. And then at the end of the year, at the end of 5 years or whenever, that money's gone. And I can tell you, working in the financial field as a financial advisor, a lot of people approach retirement with either two approaches, with either anxiety or anticipation. And the reason why a lot of people approach it with anxiety is because they have not maintained the money over those years. We all should be in a position like Dr. Thompson, where we're just laying back and literally watching over and maintaining our money. And you can't do any of these 3 unless you understand and learn how to manage money. So the first 2, the make and multiply, deals with playing offense. We've just gone through 10, almost 11 years of the longest global expansion in history, the longest bull market in history. So these last 10 years, we should have been playing offense. But now we're in a period of contraction. We're in a period of potential recession. We're seeing that this unprecedented times have us in a position of defense. And now, so we have to understand these 2 things that we're looking at, maintaining and managing, is ultimately and so important right now what we're in. Matter of fact, I believe you have to play defense like LeBron James. If you recall in 2016, when the Cavaliers won the championship, LeBron James, of course, won the MVP, and we raved about his talent. But this picture right here was perhaps the most important play of that championship year, because it was about a minute left in Game 7. Andre Iguodala was going in for what probably would have been the game-sealing field goal, and LeBron James came out of nowhere and he played defense. He blocked the shot. That's what we have to do right now against the things that's trying to beat us, defeat us in terms of our finances. We have to play defense. So what I want to do real quick is give you 5.
Let me see your screen one time, because I want to see that picture. I don't think it showed up that they was talking about LeBron James. I didn't mean to interrupt you. Try to stop sharing your screen and share it one more time. I want to see that LeBron James photo.
Okay, all right. Yeah, if you didn't see that LeBron James picture, I got to show it to you. Okay, so I stopped sharing. Did you see everything else? Was everything else showing up?
We wasn't able to. It blacked out, but we're gonna try to get this one. See if it work.
All right.
There we go. That's it right there.
All right. So, but you saw everything leading up to this. You saw this, correct?
We didn't see that, but if you continue, we'll make this presentation available for everybody to have access to.
Well, I apologize. I'm not sure what happened. Technology is wonderful when it works. But again, this is the picture I was talking about. And probably as I was describing it, especially for you basketball fans, you knew exactly what I was talking about. But this picture is when LeBron James ran down Andre Iguodala to literally seal the deal, block the shot, and give them the championship. So why I use that is because defense is so important in particular times like this. So what I was going to do is give you 5 defensive strategies that we all should at least try to think about, incorporate inside of our own personal finances as we go through this uncertain times. And again, this is not saying that we should listen to or believe fear. We know that God did not give us a spirit of fear, but he gave us a spirit of common sense, right? And as Dr. Thompson said, we have to position ourselves. So if you indeed wanted to create that business, or if you wanted to make sure that you come out of this much better than you were when we went into this downturn, that you play again strategically defense in terms of your own stewardship. And by the way, I would encourage you, we're just talking about finances today, but think about stewardship over everything, where your health, your relationships, your spirituality. But right now, we're talking about money. And the first defensive thing is you must save your coins, save your money. This is the time where, in my humble opinion, you have an opportunity to position yourself for what's on the other side of this valley. And it's going to be enormous and abundance opportunities. But if you don't have that seed money that Dr. Thompson was talking about, even if you're not trying to open up a business, then you are literally, you're coming out of this no better than you were going in. So some people say, well, I can't save money because either I'm not making the money or I'm trying to do everything I can just to survive through this. But you are in a position to save your money. Proverbs 6:6-8 says that we are to be like that small, insignificant ant. Has no commander, no overseer, but yet it collects its food in the summer, so it'll have provisions in the winter. This is the time we need to be saving money. Not the time, because I'm telling you, there will be opportunities that you will see. There are great deals. You're going to see there's great time to put money into things that you would consume. This is not the time to go out and buy cars. This is not the time to go out and buy big things, because this is the time you want to have your coins and start collecting money, because cash is king in this environment. So how do you do that? Well, there's a couple of ways. First of all, you push back what you can. So what do I mean by that? Well, the government has told us as a nation to shut it down for the sake of humanity and our health, and it makes sense. But they've also said, because we've asked you to shut it down, we also have to be willing to compensate the inconvenience of you shutting it down. So right now, the government said, look, in 4 days, most of us, had this not came up, would have been up against filing our taxes. So they pushed that back. And they said, you have till July. You have till July to pay to pay your student loans in terms of your interest on your student loans. And they're saying it's likely going to be your full student loan payments. But it doesn't stop there. Even if you preferably have not lost your job or you're still able to draw income, consider taking full advantage of possibly calling your bank up if you have a mortgage and say, look, I want to see 22 banks have said we are allowing our participants and our customers to push their mortgage back 2 to 3 months with no penalty, no interest on the back of it. They're just going to put that money on the back of your loan. Your car loans are the same. There's so many credit cards. There's so many. While people may say, isn't this time to pay off your debt? In some cases it is, but this is the time, if you can, is to collect coins, and this is the opportunity that you can do. So if you have if you don't have the recommended 5 to 6 months of emergency funds and you couldn't see how you can ever grow that, this is the opportunity that we have right now that can allow you to put money up, put money away, push things back without any penalty, without any credit dings, without any problems, and you're saving money and you're getting that runway that you probably wouldn't have had a chance to get had this not taken place. So here's another strategic thing. If you can, try to refi. Our government, or I shouldn't say our government, but our Federal Reserves, they are separate. They always like to make sure we know that. Our Federal Reserve did something a couple of weeks ago that a lot of people probably didn't catch. They lowered the interest rates to zero. Zero. So now, not only do you push things back, potentially, you may also call up that mortgage company and say, look, I'm not, you know what, is there a way that I can push this mortgage payment back to July? No penalty, no problem. And oh, by the way, my interest rates are 4.5%, 5%. So let's talk about potentially refinancing that, or my car, or my credit cards, or anything else right now that will save you money. Put that money back into your own household. Put those coins back into your collection, because again, you're creating seed money for the opportunity on the other side of this. So try to refi. If you haven't looked into it right now, it may be a good opportunity for you to start looking at things to try to refi what you can. Because once you do that, now if you qualify, apply. Now, what do I mean by this? Well, Dr. Thompson talked a little bit about how our government has literally put $2.4 trillion of stimulus dollars out here. And they just added another 2.3 for corporations that we won't get into. But right now, there's so many things that you possibly could qualify for. So for those who are right now, maybe a small business owner, as Dr. Thompson said, you have what they call the opportunity to do the payroll protection program loan. That if you utilize it the right way, it becomes forgivable. It becomes a grant. That's free money that you need to look into if indeed you're a small business owner. We're all getting, based on your adjusted gross income, you may be getting a $1,200, or if you're married, $2,400 stimulus check. Go back up to number one. Don't spend that unless it's on the essentials. You save that, but you qualify for that. So make sure that you're getting everything that you qualify for. For those that have unfortunately been furloughed or maybe laid off because the company is contracted, make sure that you're taking full advantage of the stimulus unemployment. So right now you get a chance to add an additional $600 a week for unemployment on top of whatever else your state would provide. So in Texas, it may be anywhere from $300 to $700 a week. And then on top of that, you're going to get another $600 through the end of July. So in some cases, you can get, for your furlough or unemployment, $3,000 to $4,000 a month that you want to fully take advantage of if you haven't looked into it. Small business owners, you want to fully take advantage of these loans, or what they call the economic income disaster loan, or there's other things out there. There's so many grants. We have a lot of companies that are stepping up that are able to support and undergird these small companies as well. Facebook, for example, just put out what they call a $40 million grant loan for small businesses that I've helped a few people get grants that have small businesses, or they're in the gig economy and they're eligible for it. So just know there are things out here that you have to take the first step, have an effort, and get out here and make sure that you apply for them. And the last thing I want to just remind you all is that the fifth defensive strategy is that you want to invest, invest, and invest. Now, that may sound counterintuitive, because you're saying, well, isn't that more of an offensive strategy versus a defensive strategy? Well, it is. But in this case, you still want to invest. And I'm not just talking about in the stock market, because that is my background, my forte. I deal with the stock market. But really, I'm talking about, first and foremost, invest in yourself and your family and in the kingdom. But this is the time where we've been forced to shelter in place. We're on this mandatory staycation. If you're not taking full advantage of this right now, so for those of you who are considering doing a loan, opening up a business, this is the time that you understand and you learn as much as you can about that business or that marketplace that you're trying to get into. For those of you who want to invest in the stock market versus just calling me up or anybody else that does this for a living, this is the time that you really uncover and understand more about how to invest in the stock market. So when you get on the other side of this, you have the information and knowledge. This is the time you invest in yourself, in your family, in your health, in your spirituality, but invest, invest, invest. Don't do this. Consume. Because here's what a lot of people are doing right now. They have the time. They're binging on Netflix. They're taking advantage of free HBO. They're doing a lot of things that is just creating more consumption in their lives, and it's not going to help them on the other side of this opportunity. So yes, there are great companies to invest in. I won't start throwing names out, but you got to look at right now, when you start talking about 70 million people all of a sudden work from home, who will benefit from that? Who's going to benefit, and who's benefited from it right now? Mediums like this that you can't get in front of people now. So mediums like YouTube or Zoom or organizations and companies like that. I can give you 5 to 10 other sectors, but I want you to think about who's the opportunity that will benefit from this. And you can only do that if you invest in your own knowledge, you invest in the own opportunities, you invest in your own health, you invest in your own family, your own spirituality, asking God exactly where is it that I can take full advantage of what's coming down the pipe. Because here's what's happening. When you get on the other side of this, as mentioned, I first met Dr. Thompson in the late 90s. We've seen now 3 of these: the dot-com bubble, the housing market bubble, and now the coronavirus effect. And the biggest thing I've learned through all those, the first time I was not prepared. The second time I was in the middle of it and I was getting prepared. This time I am very much prepared. Our job is to do just that. Be prepared, because this too shall pass, but will you be ready when the opportunity presents itself? So that's what I wanted to share, kind of high level. AJ, I'll just turn it back over to you, and then we can answer questions now. You're on mute, AJ.
Sorry about that. That's some good stuff. I'm not going to repeat everything that I just said, but we do. I'm going to go ahead and get into some questions. We have one question from Mr. Joseph. He said, I have a friend of mine that has been trying to get me to invest in mutual funds, specifically index funds. Is this a route you recommend to take at this time with our struggling economy?
Well, I would tell you, Joseph, this is bigger than just right now. So I don't know your time frame. I don't know your goals. I don't know your reasons. But anytime you invest, you want to make sure that you have time. So if you have time, that's key. If time is on your side, if you don't need that money for the next 6 months to the next year, then this is the perfect opportunity, because it's almost like you're walking into your favorite department stores and everything's 30, 40% off. So just keep that in mind. If time is on your side, and if you're looking at a long-term approach, then absolutely, it's time to. It's a good time to consider it.
And what can you describe like a mutual fund? Like what is a mutual fund? For those of us who haven't really just been into the market like that, can you describe a mutual fund compared to an index fund and all these different types of funds, but primarily the ones that we hear the most: mutual funds, 401ks, and things. What are those funds doing basically?
Well, you're right. There's a lot of numbers and acronyms. So let me just, for the basics, mutual fund is a basket of stocks or bonds or investments. So the mutual fund is the actual umbrella. Within that mutual fund, you may have thousands of companies that are represented from a stock and or a bond perspective. So just know mutual funds are that way. You can invest in what they call aggressive mutual funds, moderate, conservative. It's all based on what companies and what type of investments go inside of that basket called mutual funds. Now, index funds are where you're just tracking what the index is doing. So it's the S&P 500 or the Dow Jones or the Russell 2000 or whatever index you're tracking. Basically, you're not investing in a company, you're investing in that index. That's really the high level basic part of it. Then you have so many other things. Look, you have gold, you have Bitcoin, you have real estate, REITs, you have so many things out here, international funds. You have so many things out here that this is what I'll go back to. Number 5, this is the opportunity that you can invest, and understand the basics of these things. Don't overcomplicate it, because you don't need to, but just know that, again, at the very high level, I would start with mutual funds, and then everything goes from there. Individual stock, individual bonds, and then you literally start just familiarizing yourself with it. But that's exactly what it is.
That sounds good. Hey, Joseph, let us know if we answered your question as well. So if you have any more questions that you want to ask, thinking off this, let us know. But we have another question from William Bermudez. He says, by defense, do you mean selling your portfolio when things are bad, hedging your positions, put options, rebalance with stocks that do well in recession? So I guess he was pinging off of something you had said in the presentation.
Well, I can tell by William's question, he certainly this is not new. Investments is not new to him. When you start talking about put options and things like that, using it as a hedge against the market, those are great questions. Obviously, William, you probably know this. It all depends on your own personal situation. I would tell a 68-year-old who's close to retirement, who has a multi-million-dollar portfolio, something different than I would tell a 34-year-old in this time. So it all depends on those particular things. But as well as somebody with a very low risk tolerance versus a very high risk tolerance. Great question, but it's hard to answer because I don't know your situation. So in some cases, I would say absolutely, it's a time to rebalance your overall portfolio because this is the time to get things back into alignment with who you are. Other people, I would say, allow it to continue to do what it's doing because this is money that you may not need for the next 10 years. So you deal with these ebbs and flows and allow it to come back. Again, so it's good questions. Now, when you start talking about put options, I do a lot of options. People may not know what options are. That's where you don't have to buy the particular underlying company, but you buy the right to control it. That's where you start really getting difficult. But put options typically is a good hedge against a down market. And that's where I always tell people you want to be comfortable and careful when you start using options because it's a little bit more complicated and difficult. But if you're asking about it, I have a feeling you know about it. So just know that's something that you want to make sure that it fits right for you, but it's not a bad strategy.
That's some good stuff. We got another question from Mega J76. I recently bought a home last October with the government offering 0 interest loans. I was thinking about taking out a loan to pay it off, to pay off my house and repay the loan without interest. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I don't know exactly. Taking out a loan to repay your house, I would ask why not maybe consider refinancing. I don't know, again, your whole credit score, your whole situation. I don't know what that loan would represent. I don't know if that's the best move, but I always say at the very least, I don't know the interest rates that you have on it. So at the very least, I would say first and foremost, call the bank that you took out the original loan with. Now that the interest rates are gone down lower, see indeed if you can potentially refinance those. Now that other piece of it is taking out a loan to pay off your house. Again, not knowing how much your house costs. I've seen investors who maybe bought a house for $75,000 and they take out a loan. That may make sense, but not knowing your whole credit situation, if that's even an option or viable, I would be hard to answer. But first thing I would do is a low-hanging fruit. Just see what those interest rates are at your bank and see if you can possibly refinance. It may be a fee to do it, refinance fee. But if it makes sense to do it, if you had an interest rate of 3-4%, 5%, it may make sense to go back to them and say, let's do this again with these interest rates as low as they are.
That's some good information. I'm going to bring Dr. Thompson back, and I'm going to have just in case anybody want to share some light or just want to ask some more questions. But particularly, Dr. Thompson, this is going to be a question for you as well. And I'm seeing the question, so we're definitely going to ask that. But Megan, she replied, I'm sorry, Mega Jake 76, she replied, she said it's a 3.5 interest conventional loan with a 750 credit. Sean, before we get Dr. Thompson involved, because I have a specific question for him, but can you explain the refinance portion of it? Because I think this is the kind of the scenario that she's looking to. She's looking to refinance out of this conventional loan, probably. What does refinancing on a home does for you? What is the purpose of it?
It can overall lower the cost that you're paying for the home. I mean, anytime you're paying for a home, you're paying the bulk of that money is going towards interest. So if you have everything bundled, you're escrowing your mortgage, your insurance, your taxes. Just always look at that mortgage portion of it, especially in the beginning of your home loan. And you would see very little bit of it going towards your principal. Majority of it's going towards interest. Now, when you file your taxes, likely you're going to get a nice little tax break from the mortgage interest that you pay. But if you don't have to pay all that interest, that's where you want to lower the finance rate. So the 3.5%, first of all, your credit score is great, excellent. So congratulations. 3.5% is not bad. So when I say, keep in mind, when I say 0% interest at the Federal Reserve, don't expect to go in and the banks are saying it's zero. They're obviously going to put points on top of it. So you know, they may be offering a loan at 2.5%. Is that 1% enough to make a difference over that life of that loan? Possibly, likely, probably. So that's where you have to, again, get with somebody to help you run the numbers. But I can tell you, every dollar you can save and put back into your own household to create your own generational and family wealth is worth the effort. So while I can't give you exact answer, yay or nay, this makes sense for you to do it, I can absolutely tell you kind of what Dr. Thompson and I have been saying. It's time for us to get off the couch, put the work in, because these are unprecedented times, and we got a chance to literally change some financial situations in our life. So I would definitely check into it.
That's some good stuff, Sean. Thank you for that. I want to go piggyback on both of you guys. Thank you again for letting us ask you these questions. So I just want to let everybody know that's watching online that you're more than welcome to just shoot in your questions, and I definitely try to post them and get them answered for you. But I want you to, just to kind of take a stab at this. And Dr. Thompson, you kind of shed some light on this earlier when you were presenting. But I have been getting a lot of questions like, AJ, what company should I invest in? Where should I put my money at? What should I do? And even though I know you don't want to give specifics, it's like the rule of thumb when we were taking a Series 7, don't guarantee a stock. But Dr. Thompson, you said something that was really important. And when you was talking about analyzing a business, you were saying the reason why businesses fail is because, number one, the lack of capital, inadequate leadership, ineffective business planning, and marketing mishaps. And I was like, wow, that's the perfect way to describe how to look for the company you want to invest in. Can you just shed some light on how people can actually figure out how a company is managing their work when times are like this, so we can know if this is a company that we would want to invest in and things of that nature, if that makes sense?
Yeah, those that you described are why businesses fail.
Mm-hmm.
Those four things. There are a lot of other things to look at, and Sean is really the expert on this. My goal when I look at companies, number one, I want to look at how much cash they have in the bank.
Mm-hmm.
A company, are they solid? Are they looking at growing? What type of industry are they in? And there's some other things. And I just said this. I can say there's two types of companies I look for. I look for long-term investments, companies that I know are going to be around, solid on upswing. The other one that I personally look for is I look for those companies that I call just their cycles, which means they go up and they come back down. And they do that in some type of frequency and regularity. Mm-hmm. What I can do by doing my investigation, homework, all of it requires homework. I buy low and I can sell high. And one of the things that the Bible teaches us is don't glean all of the harvest out of the field. So when I look at this stock, say I buy a stock at $25 and I see that it cycles like that. I buy it at $25, it goes up to $35. I set my limit sell point at say maybe 33. I'm not trying to maximize and get all of that. I get what I can from that. I wait for that stock to dip again. It might not go back to 25, but it might go back to 27. I'll buy again. And now maybe I'm looking at it to go 32. So I look for a couple of different types of stocks to do that. One's long-term, steady. The other one is how can I make money in a little bit more cyclical effort. And but again, Sean, you're the pro, man.
Yeah. Well, Yeah, I would say you're right on it. I mean, there's numerous strategies when you start talking about how to invest and where to invest and what to invest in. And while you're right, I would not sit here and tell anybody here's specific stock or anything that to invest. I would just tell you to take this opportunity and look and see who's most affected right now in this unprecedented global shutdown. And also look at this. We are also saying again, this is where you have to understand what's going on right now. And Dr. Thompson and I was talking about this about a week and a half ago, 2 weeks ago. Our government and Federal Reserve is literally saying we're going to try, especially for the big boys, not to allow them to fail. Now, will some of them fail? Maybe. But when you start talking about the government and the Federal Reserve's now doing another $2.3 trillion, and they've started announcing they're going to buy corporations' junk bonds. Basically, they're almost rewarding even subpar to horrible companies to say, you're not going to fail through this, because this is something that no one could have planned for. So even those with a grade D and F in terms of their corporate junk bonds, the Federal Reserves are buying those. So when you start looking at who has been hit the hardest through all this, everybody's been hit hard. Who's been hit the hardest? And oh, by the way, the government's saying they're going to help them. So there may be some opportunities right there. But also who's taking advantage and who will shine out of this opportunity, because this is going to create new norms. So we always say there's three things behind this particular, what we're experiencing right now. The first thing, obviously, is the physical. We all pray that everybody gets healthy, gets over this curve. The next thing is the fiscal, the economic behind it. But the third thing is the psychological. It's going to change how we do things. We're not just going to rubber band and snap back to the way we've done it. I know a lot of people think that we're all going to go run back to the next big concert. But this is going to be ingrained in our heads. So how is this going to affect things? There are companies right now analyzing all that, and they're looking at opportunities to benefit on the other side of this. You have to kind of get ahead, or at least be on the coattail of some of these companies that are doing it. I'll just be honest. And again, this is not an investment advice, but I don't foresee, put it like this. I foresee that there will be opportunities in the transportation opportunity will change. I'll just put it that way. I put it that way in terms of where you see big crowds, be it subways and things like that. I believe that's going to change, at least in the immediate, until we get some comfort level back. So what's going to spike from that? Some of these ride shares that we already experienced. So just know that there's things out here that you can then start investing in, short term as well as long term. And as Dr. Thompson said, there are some companies that you look at that ebbs and flows within a certain channel that if you watch it and you invest in the knowledge behind it, it tells on itself. Your job now is just to get on there and take full advantage of it.
Wow, that's some great information. When you say savings, Sean, I want you to kind of shed some light on that. And Dr. Thompson, I want you to shed some light on this as well, because we should stop consuming so much. But if I have to spend money, for businesses and things of that nature, if I have to spend money, I know I want to stay ahead of the game as far as, being online. Technology costs a lot of money. What should businesses be looking to spend their money on if they have to spend their money outside of the essentials? And Dr. Thompson or Sean, you can take a stab at this.
Go ahead, Dr. T.
Well, I just want to start with a biblical principle and individually, and then get to companies. Biblically, the Bible teaches us to invest first anyway. Save, give, save, and invest, right? And that's what we should be doing anyway. Same things with the company. Sean probably know who says this, but somebody said, I think it was Buffett, that says you can take all of the money in the world, put it in a big pot, equally divided out to everybody, and in 10 years, it'll be back where it was before. And that's because our mentality on how we look at money. To me, money is not, first of all, to spend. I mean, how nice would it be to spend from my investments if I'm going to spend? So the first thing is, how do I get my mentality right around money? That's the same thing with the company. There are companies out there that's ran by people that are just buying, purchasing, and doing all those things. And when you look at cash in bank, not that much. Then you look at companies, and I'm not saying you have to save into oblivion, but I do think that you need to have a healthy enough bank account, just like for us as individuals. I mean, I need to have, if I can't get a paycheck for 6 months, I need to have that sitting somewhere, right? That's the same thing with the company. So I think when I look at companies, I go through, and all of us, we have to do our due diligence. One of the things I look at is cash in hand. And I look at their spending and what they're investing in over a period of time. And if it's a public company, that information is readily available. Sean, what say you, sir?
Yeah, you hit it, man. I think, look, obviously we have to spend, be it individual or business, to survive as well as thrive. But it's the proper way and the good stewardship of how you spend, to me, makes a difference. Now, you have to, in these times, in my opinion, get very lean and only spend on the things that you must spend money on. Now, yes, take advantage of this. If there's something that you believe that will help your business, that, 50 to 60% on discount, if it's absolutely essential for your business, take advantage of it. But here's the thing. When we come out of this, don't think that everything is going to go back to normal when it comes to prices. You'll still get so many opportunities and so many deals. But here's the key. As Dr. Thompson and I have been saying, you need to have a nest egg, something to springboard towards that next opportunity. Here's what's going to happen with so many people, and I pray it's not anybody who's listening. When we come out of this, we're going to see so many opportunities that will avail themselves, but so many folks will not have any ammunition in the gun to take the shot. And if you don't have any ammunition in the gun to take your shot, then it's useless to have the opportunity. So as we're saying, essentially you have to spend money, discreetly, responsibly, spend money on a little extra that you feel like may benefit you. But bottom line is, you only spend, in my opinion, until we see what this thing looks like. Because I just read an article this morning that Los Angeles and California, they believe they're going to be shut down through the middle of the summer. God forbid, what if all of us are like that? And that way, you need to make sure that you're holding on to something. And then when we come out of it, and we will, therefore, that's when you have the ammunition to start taking your shot. Do you suggest getting getting a low interest loan to pay off high interest debt? Here's the opportunity for you, Natalie. Yes, meaning that right now, if you have an opportunity to get a low interest loan to pay off high non-deductible credit cards, you take it. Matter of fact, you could probably go out to your own mailbox right now, pull out about 4 or 5 credit cards that have 0% APR introductory interest rates for the first 18 months. So right there, that's as low as you can go, is 0. It may be a small fee to get that amount transferred, but it's worth it if the average credit card today, even though they're deferring it because of where we are right now, the average credit card today is around 15 to 17% APR, annual percentage rate. That's robbery, and most of us are putting the gun up to our own heads. So you absolutely should take advantage of any low interest to knock out that high interest and put that money back in your pocket.
That's some good stuff. Dr. Thompson, you gonna add anything on that?
Man, my brother did it, man, right there. I mean, yeah, anytime I have an opportunity, especially with credit cards and these loans that's out there, that's just sucking our money away. And I like what Sean said too, man. If we got a home and we hadn't looked at, particularly that home over 30 years, I have a 30-year note. I want to look at, they have 20 and 15. Particularly now with interest rate is lower, just by making those types of changes, man, will save you a lot of money and put more towards your principal than just giving money to lending institutions.
Man, that's some good stuff. If I want to thank you guys so much for joining us online. This has been a great segment. Dr. Thompson, I want you to pray us out. But before you pray, I I want you to just kind of conclude, give us some, the bulk of information. If there is something that you really just want us to take home with us, highlight something that you really want us to just kind of grasp and just kind of just conclude it on what you presented today.
Well, I'll start by going first since Dr. Thompson did his presentation first. First of all, thank you for your time. Thank you for spending valuable time, energy, and effort just to listen to us. Obviously, we are all sheltered in place right now, and you could be doing other things, but you chose to sign on. Look, I didn't mention this, but I believe it's part of the overall conversation that we talked about. I've written 5 books over finances, and I'm not saying that to push any of them, but one of the most important books I wrote was what I call the 3-2-1 formula. And the 3-2-1 formula goes like this. I believe that God expects us to leverage 3 things so we can protect 2 things that everybody's after, so we can go after the one thing that he's designed us to go after. Now, that one thing, you have to make that determination. Whatever God and you has on your plate, your job is to fulfill that goal to obviously benefit the kingdom, as well as to extract and expand your highest reach. Because everybody's after 2 things, and that's your one thing is your mission. Your 2 things that everybody's after is your minutes and your money. Or a better way of saying it is your time and resources. Everybody's after your minutes and your money. You have to protect yourself, because you're only a limited resource from an energy standpoint as well as a financial standpoint. And to do that, you have to leverage 3 things. And we've talked about these 3 things. First of all, we didn't talk about it much, but we talked about how you need to leverage, first of all, this mindset. Your mindset, you don't allow fear to get in. You understand who's still on the throne, who's still in control. But we have the opportunity to get the right mindset, to position ourselves the right way, to lead us into the next season of life, whatever that is. And then once we get the right mindset, we learn how to leverage the marketplace. We've been talking about how do you leverage the marketplace? There's so many things out here, from stimulus to entrepreneurship opportunities to investments in stocks to real estate. Whatever it is that you want to leverage, learn about how you can leverage the marketplace. And the third thing you must leverage is what I've been saying since I've been on here, is the importance of mentorships and the importance of what I consider a maven, which is nothing but an expert. You don't have to take this step alone. Don't be on an island alone. As you're going through this, you partner with the ladder. You partner with people that understand and can keep you and hold you accountable. So therefore, it'll get you through this time with the right direction and help you with your blind spots. So 3 things: your mentorship, your marketplace, and your mindset. You must leverage those well so you can protect your money and your minutes, so you can go after your mission. So those are the things I want to remind you of. God bless you. I appreciate you for allowing me to share.
That's some good stuff. Thank you so much, Sean. Dr. Thompson, not only do I want you to pray us out, but I definitely want you to conclude on something that you really want us to capture that you were talking about in your presentation. So definitely want to hear from you.
All right, thank you. Again, thank you, AJ. Thank you for your audience. I hope and pray that this has been beneficial to you, even if it's just a little bit that you get out of that. I'd like to conclude with this. And I think if anybody said this time last year that we, the world, would be in this type of virus predicament, pandemic, I think they would be lying. But I know someone that this didn't catch by surprise: our Father and Savior, Jesus Christ. So either he caused this to happen or he allowed it to happen, which begs the question: what is he trying to get out of us? What is he telling us through this? Well, I think he's saying a couple of things. One of them is we need to know that he is Lord and Savior over all. And what is he causing us? If we're getting away from his ordinances and statutes, we need to get back there. Then the second thing that I got out of all of this is how volatile we all are. The strong United States of America can be brought to its knees in a moment. So I say all of that because it shows me that the dollar, even though it's the strongest thing in the world, is still fallible. So I think we need something else to kind of boost that up as well. So I want you to think about any type of precious metal that can go along with whatever your investment is, that you look at that as well to help balance. If some of this stuff happen again, even bigger degree, is that we have something that's going to be relatively sound footing with, so to speak. So balance your portfolio to some degree, and not even balance, but have something there on the side. So again, I just thank you for this opportunity. When I look at really the closing thing to me, and I might be biased, and that is just leadership. Not leadership defined by us as individuals, but leadership defined by a person that has good character, that's a good planner, that listens to others, and that will take action when needed. So I just want to pray for us today. Father, we just thank you for giving us this day. Even in the midst of being stuck at home, Father, we are stuck at home with you. So by being with you, we have an opportunity to learn from you and to see all of the things that you have for us. So I just pray for everybody that's out in the listening audience, that you would bless our hearts, bless our souls, and that you would give us the wisdom from you, because this wisdom that surpasses all understanding. So if we get nothing else out of our time today, Father, we give it to you, that you are Lord, and all of the things that we're looking for comes from you and through you and for you. Allow us to be a blessing to other people. We pray that you guide us and protect us through this. When we come out on the other side, you are bigger than you've ever been in our lives. And we'll be careful to give you the praise and glory. And we pray this in the precious blood of Jesus Christ on this resurrection weekend, and all that he has for us. And we say amen. Thank you.
Yeah. Hey, thank you so much. Y'all enjoy the rest of your Saturday. And we got to send some stuff your way. We'll appreciate this. Until next time.
Blessings.
Until next time. Listen, I want to thank everybody who decided to join. Thank you so much. There's so much more that I want to bring to you guys during this time. I'm glad it's rainy outside because you had no other choice but to join me today. But I want you to stay blessed. Continue to comment, share this video. This is going to be on YouTube. Continue to share this video and put more people to our YouTube page. But I hope this was a blessing for you today. Continue to save and invest and do the things that God has called us to do. We are also giving you the opportunity to partner up with us. So if there's any possibility where that you want to just invest into what the ladder is doing, just want to invest in momentum of keeping the ladder afloat, you can definitely give to us through our link in the YouTube, in the Instagram page, and through our website. But we want to thank you so much for joining us today. You guys have a blessed one. Bye.